Now, up to this point in time value of money, when we dealt with annuities now, they've always been ordinary, regular annuities. Now I'm going to show you how it is we account for and how we take care of annuity dues. Now, annuity dues, remember, is an even stream of cash flows received at the beginning of every time period. This top example up here, let's say that you and I decide today to save money. We can't start today, of course, because what? We don't have any money. So we decide that, starting a year from now, I'm going to save $100 a year for 3 years. That's my plan. And so a year from now, I go to the bank, I put $100 in the bank. 2 years from now, I go to the bank, I put $100 in the bank. And a year later, I go to the bank and I say, how much money do I have in the bank? They're going to look it up on their computers, and let's say they said $204. Great. Here's another $100. How much do I have now? $304. The interest factor for that payment is 1, okay? Because it earns no interest. If I save as an annuity due, though, what happens? Well, the first payment up here earned interest for 2 years. The first payment here is now going to earn interest for what? 3 time periods. The second payment up there earned interest for 1 time period. The second payment here will earn interest for 2 time periods. The third payment earned no interest. This payment will earn what? 1 year's interest. Long story short, annuity dues, future value, always earn, each payment earns 1 more year's interest, 1 more time period's interest. And again, that's why when you go to talk to a financial planner, you tell them you want to start saving money, they say, great, I think you should start when? Today. An annuity due. That's the way they're going to suggest that you save money. The other thing I want you to understand is what's the interest factor for a payment received at time period 0, T0. What's $100 worth today? $100. Its interest factor, the interest factor for this payment is 1. The interest factor here is 1, the interest factor here is 1. When we adjust these tables over here, which I'll explain in just a moment, we're always adding and subtracting this 1 out here. Again, that's the interest factor for the payments. And that's where that comes from. Now, PVIFA for an annuity due. Your tables, your FVIFA table, your PVIFA table, those are only designed for ordinary regular annuities. They're not designed for annuity dues. You have to adjust them. So if you had an annuity problem, you see an annuity in the problem, you decide it's an annuity. I write down my big dollar amount. Big dollar amount's at the beginning of the annuity stream. I'm going to use PVIFA. Everything's correct so far. But the payments don't come at the end of every time period. They come at the beginning of every time period. You have an annuity due. At that point, you have to adjust your PVIFA table. The way you do this now, N is equal to T minus 1. So if this was an 8-year annuity due, then N would be 8 minus 1, or 7. You look up 7 and whatever the discount rate is, look that up on your table, and you add 1 to that interest factor. If you decide that you have an annuity problem and the big dollar amounts at the end of the annuity stream, you're going to use FVIFA. But you also find out that the payments come at the beginning of every time period, not the end of every time period. You have an annuity due. Again, you're going to use your FVIFA because the big dollar amounts at the end, but you have to adjust it for the annuity due. N now is going to be T plus 1. So again, if it's an 8-year annuity due, you'd look up 8 plus 1, or 9. Look up 9 and whatever your reinvestment rate is. To that interest factor, you'd subtract 1. And that would give you your annuity due interest factor for that FVIFA. So these are the ways you adjust your tables. This is the way you adjust it for PVIFA. This is the way you adjust it for FVIFA. Remember now, if the big dollar amount's at the beginning of the annuity stream, you use PVIFA. If it's an annuity due, you adjust it this way. If the big dollar amount's at the end of the annuity stream, you use FVIFA, but if it's an annuity due, you have to adjust it, and this is the way you adjust your tables.